Hallo guys, the Critical German here and welcome to a new wunderbares video. Today we talk about the Madoka Magica Manga Wraith Arc and how it manages to be not that good. There will be no spoilers for the manga itself, but for the original series because it is its direct sequel. Let's talk about the story first. It takes place between the original series and the movie Rebellion. After Madoka sacrificed herself to delete the witch's existence, nobody remembers her anymore except for Homura. In this world without witches, there is still evil though. Magical girls have to fight Wraith now, who eat human emotions instead of killing people. When magical girls die, they just disappear and get rescued by the law of the cycle instead of turning into witches. Our main characters this time are Mami, Sayaka, Kyoko and Homura, protecting the city and fight against the Wraith. But someday something weird happens and Homura loses her ability. So the question remains, why are the Wraiths behaving this weird and why did Homura lose all her magical abilities? Okay, that was long and complicated. So, what is the point of the Wraith arc? Does it answer unanswered questions between the original series and the third movie? Nein. Not really. At best, it explains some details about the ending of Madoka and it implements the scenes that took place after Madoka's sacrifice, such as Homura explaining that witches existed and Kyubey laughing his ass off. I was hoping for a more direct tie-in into Rebellion, but we just get a little teaser at the end and nothing about Madokami or her assistants. It's just about the Wraiths. But, well, is the story at least good? Nein, not really to be honest. The beginning was nice though. We get to see the new timeline and how the established characters build a new team, how they interact with each other and what conflict they need to solve. It was more about the characters, putting a focus on their dynamic, especially the one between Sayaka and Kyoko. But then it all fell apart. And it all comes down to one thing. The explanation of the Wraith. At some part, something weird happens with the Wraith and they get a new form. This concept needed to be explained and it's just confusing and doesn't make any sense. It's like they try to make something especially complicated, but complicated doesn't equal smart or good. It's just unnecessary to make something so overcomplicated. And it's not like Madoka was that complicated. It was actually pretty simple to follow and that makes it so efficient and great. Magical girls with no energy left turn into witches, and magical girls need to kill witches in order to get energy. It's an easy, understandable cycle. And Wraith Arc is like, yeah, I can't even explain what's going on. Okay, fine, you say, well, some explanation is complicated. But that doesn't mean the story is all bad, right? Well, they do it again and at the worst part of the story. It's hard. See, there is this central mystery involving Homura's lost abilities. They explain it at the end with a long and drawn out exposition scene. And the existence of the one person giving the explanation doesn't make any sense. Also, the explanation itself is so ridiculous that you think the writers just make things up while they wrote it. It's seriously this bad and you're like, what the actual heck were they thinking? They just introduced some illogical concepts in the space of a few panels. But there is one problem with this. In the original series, Kyubey stated that the magical girl's powers is not based on logic. With this explanation, you can basically explain everything and say it doesn't need to follow logic because the magic is irrational. But there is one big difference. Urobuchi, the writer of the original series, decided to not tap into this irrational field. Sure, there might have happened some more irrational stuff such as Madoka turning into God, but at least it had an understandable explanation. It was nonetheless easy to follow. So it depends on how the writer chooses to incorporate it. In the Wraith arc, they are just like, ha ha. Let's just make things up and use the explanation of irrational magic to justify it. And as you can imagine, that doesn't work and doesn't make for a good story. At least it had some great panel art involving Homura and I like the designs of the new form of the Wraith. They look really creepy to be honest. But good and efficient storytelling is more important for me and Wraith Arc didn't deliver in this regard. It's just a mess with confusing and long drawn out explanations. You know what could have been cool? If they focused more on Homura's grief or over Madoka. Yes, there is some in it, but in my opinion, not enough. And the absolute worst part is, it's one of these stories that ultimately doesn't matter because they reset everything at the end. Nothing seen there has any impact whatsoever. So you can basically skip it anyway. This raises the question even more. Why does it even exist? Answer: money. But at least tell a good and consistent story to really earn the money. My conclusion: I don't recommend Wraith Arc to you. But you know what I recommend? To leave a like, a comment and subscribe to the channel so the YouTube algorithm notices me. That was it with the video. I hope to see you next time. Macht's gut, bis dann, ciao.